You are listening to Fear in the Southwest podcast. I'm Stephanie.
This is Drew. What's up, everybody?
How spooky are you today?
Super spooky.
Super spooky? Yeah, it's been one spooky. It's one spooky 2020.
No kidding.
But the last half of 2020 is not thy friend.
No. 2020 can really just stop.
Yeah. How are you guys doing? It's been a while since we've been here, but
It feels good to be back.
it really does.
But we got some really brilliant ideas for season 4.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get ready, and, the holidays are coming, and going to work on season 4 for you.
It's going to be awesome. Mm-hmm. We may have some new members.
Possibly.
Possibly.
We might also be taking callers. Ooh, that way you can tell us your spooky stories.
Keep your eyes open for a website, too.
Oh, yeah.
That's in the works.
Yeah, but in the meantime, check out our Facebook.
Yeah, check out our Facebook.
Like our posts, comment. Share your stories, share our podcast.
Share everything.
Yes, share everything.
Except for your dirty business. We don't want to hear that.
That's a different fear in itself.
So what's our topic tonight, Steph?
So, being out on the road a couple times the last couple of weeks, I noticed there's a lot of hunters out, Arizona's really big on hunting, especially in the fall seasons all the way through the spring. But, it's pretty much nationwide around the whole country. That's where you're going to see a lot of hunting. And, with hunting, we have stories. And, with hunting and stuff, there's always stories that people do not talk about. It's almost like Vegas. What happens in Vegas
Stays in Vegas?
Yeah. So what
you're saying what happens
happens
during hunting stays with hunting?
sometimes, bro code,
We don't tell anyone. We don't tell anybody. Nobody needs to hear that.
Seriously, Arizona is a huge hotspot for hunters, especially with our elk. All right, so where we are in the Southwest, we got a lot of deer. We have javelinas. In case you don't know what they are, they kind of look like pigs. I don't know.
Are they part of the rodent family, though?
They are part of the rodent family, but when I lived in Washington, I told someone a javelina story, and they just looked at me, and I thought, I said something wrong, and I was like, what's up? And they're like, what's a javelina? But it's javelina, and it looks like a pig, but it's part of the rodent family.
Javelina.
Anyways.
It's like driving down Ajo, La Canada.
But, no, seriously, though, people hunt them all the time, and, yeah. It's just one of those things.
Javelina hunting.
Yeah. But, if you go further up north, we have beautiful mountains.
Yeah, there is actually beautiful parts of Arizona.
We have
it's not
lakes.
just desert.
We have winter weather. We have blizzards. And so, we're getting into that season where people are going to go out there. We have bear, we have elk, we have all kinds of stuff. And so Arizona is also a hot spot for UFO sightings. You hear a lot of creepy stories about people, seeing things in the sky, just, driving somewhere, but especially when hunting.
Nothing like being out with your buddies, with your guns and your satchels full of food and beef jerky and your water, maybe a beer or two, just to get the mood going, because, man, you got to hunt right. You got to hunt good. And next thing you know, a fucking UFO. Oh, what the hell are they barging in our party for?
But you hear stories like that. You hear about people blacking out. They see something really weird, bright lights, hear noises, and then all of a sudden they wake up, it's morning, and they have no idea.
Where's George?
Exactly. What happened to George? But no, seriously, people have talked about blacking out, and they have no idea, they have no recollection of the last 8 hours. Sometimes people are missing or found in different parts of the forest that they originally started from.
Oh, yeah, and they're like miles away from the original direction. They went the opposite way. Let's say, for example, guys, just give you the most basic. Think you were heading straight north. You were heading dead north. Okay, let's say your location where you were going to go hunting or where you were camping out was dead north. And they find you dead south, hundreds of miles away from your initial starting place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's like, what really happens out there? You know, sometimes people talk about vortexes, that maybe they encounter a vortex of some sort. You know, they lose track of time. Their equipment stops working. You know, battery devices drain out. Their watches stop working. Excuse me. Cars won't start. You know, you hear all these stories of, you know, weird things happening, or going out on a clear day and all of a sudden there's like an isolated storm. You know, which isn't unheard of in Arizona. You can have all seasons in one day. But sometimes when these storms happen, that's when strange happenings start to occur.
Mm-hmm. I've seen it where like monsoon storms, like your neighbor across the street's getting poured on and you're like sunshine. You're like, how's the rain over there, Bill? Oh, it's great. Thanks.
Yeah.
Your yard's flooding. Can we have some of that water?
But when you think of camping, you know, camping, fishing, hunting, those types of activities, some of the scariest things that happen are usually around the time of a storm, extreme weather change, you know, hot from cold, you know, nice and sunny to clouds rolling in, blizzard-like conditions. And this is usually around the time where, you know, something bad happens, especially when the party decides to separate.
Ooh, it's a bad idea.
You know, when people are like, oh, we're going to go out this way and see what we can find. You stay here and watch camp, or I'm going to go down this trail and see what's going on. You know, that's one thing that I've noticed about a lot of these scary stories.
Point of separation.
Yes, there's point of separation. There's weather, and usually when water is involved. You know, unfortunately, when people are lost, the first thing they go to, especially if they're getting dehydrated, they're getting sunburned, they're really thirsty, they try to find a water source. And this is a lot of the times where a lot of weird things also occur.
Water. Give me that water.
But, you know, you hear about, you know, all the time, it's always a hunter or a fisherman that's minding their own business, going along their day, and they find like a body or something, you know, a missing person, someone that's been missing forever, and they find this body or the remains of something out in the wilderness. You know, you hear those creepy stories. But some of the other creepy things are when like the hunters or the camper goes missing.
And they're usually like, I've noticed on like that one we looked into, like they're like experienced, like they're aged. They've done this like hundreds and hundreds of times. Mm-hmm. Like they're frequent flyer fishers, hunters, you know, wilderness people like that. You know, they're familiar with the outdoors. Like it seems really odd that they would just.
A lot of them are native to the area, or, you know, they've lived in the area for a very long time. So they know the land. They know how the weather changes. They have survival skills, but somehow it's always that person that goes missing. And one of the craziest things that, you know, I've even noticed this in murder mystery shows, if any of you guys are into that. But a lot of times the bodies are discovered in an area that's been searched many times before. And it's just one of those things like, why wasn't it there before? How could they miss it? You know, even like unsolved mysteries, which we'll get into in another episode. But, you know, places that have been searched, countless hours searched, and months later, weeks later, that's where the remains or the body is later discovered.
That's creepy. Like, they're like, we had a crew go right over that spot and it was not there.
Yeah.
Where did it come from? Why, you know? In what time period did it wasn't there? Was it put there? You know, Yeah, that's weird. That's creepy.
Yeah, and you know what's also creepy?
Or did you not give your search crew enough coffee?
And they went a different direction. But sometimes,
or did they too get lost?
Sometimes what's even crazier is there's like proof that the missing person returned to camp at some point. Either their belongings, pieces of their equipment, you know, something that they were last seen with is present, but the person's like long gone. And it's like, did someone take them? Did they get lost and fall into like a hole somewhere? You know, people set up booby traps. They set up bear traps and, you know,
booby traps,
you know, for trapping animals. So it's like maybe someone fell and they're like hidden in the ground and everyone's walking over them. Not even, aircraft can see these people. So it's like, well, what happens to these people?
Where did they go? Why did they go missing?
Makes you wonder what they encounter, though. Like, are they aliens? Is there like a crazy forest cult out there, Texas Chainsaw kind of thing, but in the middle of the forest?
Maybe a land vortex.
A vortex where they end up in a whole different like time period,
or
different forest.
They're like, oh man, what was in my coffee? This is not where I was supposed to be. How did I even get here? Where's my buddies?
They end up in 1700 Scotland.
Walk around with a modern revival. They're like,
for all you Outlander fans out there.
He has like a cell phone. And they're like, he's a freak. He's an alien. Get him out of here. Imagine that for a second. Like, you show up modern day technology. You walk around the iPhone or Galaxy or whatever, or even a modern firearm. 1700s is like black powder. They're like, what the fuck is that? Holy shit, this guy, where are you from, dude? Like, you're an alien? What is this stuff? But, granted, like, your cell phone wouldn't technically work in the 1700s.
Probably not.
There's no antennas, nothing. It would just be like...
Your battery would be so drained trying to find some type of network system.
I'd be like, airplane mode.
But yeah, it's
they're like, what's airplane mode?
Right. It's like, what happens? What happens to these people? And that's what makes this so mysterious and it's very creepy. So those of you who like love to go hunting, camping, fishing, if you have any stories, things you've seen, things you've experienced, feel free to share them on our Facebook page because, we've heard a lot of different things. There's this one story about a guy that went missing. Him and his partner were in a truck together and they were driving down this road when this large buck just ran across the road. And so the guy pretty much jumped out of the moving vehicle to go chase it down. And the guy, but the driver says as soon as this happened, this weird fog came over the forest. Ooh. And that their lightning storm started. And when the guy finally found a place to pull over, he went looking for his partner. And, the partner wasn't found that day. That's crazy. They had to get a search crew out there and to, weather, like I said, points of separation, weather conditions change. This man was found 9 miles away from the site where he jumped out of the vehicle. Now, granted, when you are on a mission, you're trying to hunt, I don't doubt that you could probably go that distance, but, he was completely off trail and he was in an area that they hadn't even planned to go through. Yeah.
Was he alive when they found him?
No, he was not.
That's probably
once again, he was found by a body of water. Yeah.
By a body of water. That's a common theme I've heard with that.
Yeah.
At least that area.
Usually when people are lost, they are going to get thirsty at some point. They are going to want to cool off, especially, the summers. And so bodies of water are usually where people will gravitate to. The only bad thing is not only do you have other people that gravitate towards there, you have wildlife, bears, you have mountain lions, different things out there.
Yeah, for sure. What's in that water?
Don't drink the water, I guess.
At least in that area. Sounds dangerous.
Now
that water sounds like maybe it's got like some weird...
I doubt it's the water itself.
Because it's drink water. No, but that's creepy. Like, you talk about abductions, vortexes, just in like those weird fogs. Like, it makes me kind of be scared, in a forest of fog. That's creepy.
It is creepy. When I lived in Washington, we had a lot of fog where I lived. And I lived close to the sound. I lived in, South Tacoma, but I live very close to the water. And I live close to a place called Vashon Island. Those of you who are from Washington or lived in the Washington area. But you would just see like darkness. You would just see black where the water was. And you could kind of see lights across from this island, different people's homes, or sometimes a car would reflect. But it was really eerie, like in the early mornings, because over there, the sun wouldn't come out till after 6:30 in the morning. And you could see all the fog across the water. And then you would see the lights coming through from the island. But it gave such a very eerie feeling,
Yeah, it does.
That cold weather, that fog. The silence because, the animals aren't out. Traffic is slower.
You guys, if anyone knows Washington, traffic slower does not necessarily mean there's no traffic. It just nobody knows how to move there.
Kinda. My first accident was in Washington, actually. There's so much rain. Everyone's car is rusted and banged up.
Yeah. Don't get on the 405 or I-5 in rush hour because you're not going to go anywhere very fast.
Yeah. But
don't be in a hurry.
I went camping a lot when I was up there. And
so it's camping like there, and like that's a very woodsy.
Ooh. I remember I went with 3 friends. We went camping and we were in a very woodsy area. And then we went to like this little beach. All right. And, the tide was coming in. So we decided to go back to our camp, make some food. The noise of the frogs was so excruciating loud. Like it was a sound like no other. It like made your ears hurt. And we decided to go exploring in the forest at night. I don't know why, but we did,
Sounds like a great idea.
Right. And so we find this big log to sit on and we're all kind of sitting back to back. All of us, our backs are touching and we're all like getting like this, full view circle, of what's going on. And at this point, the frogs were so loud that my friend, he made like this weird sound and then it just went dead silent. It went from like a piercing frog noise to dead silence, which almost hurt our ears even more. And having to make that walk back to our camp in that silence, because it took a while for us to start hearing those frogs again.
That's crazy.
It was really crazy.
They all just like, we've been spotted. Be quiet.
And then my friend and I, we shared a tent. And in the middle of the night, I could hear stuff. And I was like, I hear something out there. And the next morning, like our whole little camp was just, disorganized. Trash was dug out of the places that we put it. Most likely raccoons, but just,
I was thinking raccoons.
Hearing those sounds at night, I swore I could feel something hitting the tent at one point. I was told it was the rain, how it's always misty and everything in Washington. I was told, it's the rain, but I don't know. I could not sleep very well that night. It was very eerie.
That's it. Sounds like an eerie camping trip.
It was very, and what's so funny? We even moved spots because our first site had like a bunch of party people and they were just screaming and yelling, getting drunk, and they were like hopping over a fire, and we actually moved from them because we were trying to get away from craziness and have like a tranquil weekend.
Well, I guess you yell at frogs and they go quiet, it becomes real tranquil, doesn't it?
It was really eerie. I don't even remember the sound he made, and dead, all of them at the same time. And it was just...
To that friend, tell me where you learned how to speak frog. And what did you say?
If you're listening.
I want to know.
Maybe you can come on our show and reenact that sound. As I can hear it in my head, but I don't know if I can mimic it.
Don't try. It's okay.
I think we even recorded like the sounds on our phone, but that would be the iPhone that I broke when I saw the eagle. And I tried to get... the phone out of my pocket, and I fell and I hit a rock and broke it on my ass instead.
Poor phone. Durability test failed. Okay, so I have a camping story.
Okay.
Not necessarily a creepy one, but this, the size of some of the trees up there, right?
Oh yeah.
We were. What was that place called? I don't remember the exact park or whatever we were staying at. very, very woodsy. Then there was like, the Puget.
The Puget Sound.
Yeah, it was like a beach. And then very woodsy. You got to climb up this big hill to get back to the camping sites. And there's like big trees. And like the storm came in. And this isn't very far from like where I lived. It was probably like, maybe a 20-minute drive. It wasn't very far. I just don't remember what it was called. But we're staying in a yurt, so I don't really count it as camping, really. And like everyone was squeezing the yurt, but we were camping, I guess. We had the fire. All of a sudden, this massive rain, thunder, lightning storm comes in, right? Mm-hmm. And I never heard the sound of a tree that size snapping and hitting the ground. We're in the yurt. It's pouring rain. And like some people went home, like, fuck this, we're gonna go home. Like we're close enough to home, like we don't need to camp out in this. This is ridiculous. We're like, well, we'll just wait it out. And we're like laying there, and it's like all of a sudden, that loud just crack. Mm-hmm. Oh my! It was loud. I'm like, holy, like that was close. And we stayed in the yurt. Like we didn't come out. Like after that, like we get out. When the storm's gone in the morning, like there was like a tree, like not very far, like completely just snapped. And we're talking like a big tree.
Yeah.
But the sound.
Oh yeah, you hear that crackling.
The crackling was so crazy and creepy. Like, and then like it creeps me. I think it creeps me out more in the fact that one, we're in a yurt. Two, my brother and my dad were up in Minnesota with my aunt and uncle's cabin. Mm-hmm. And Kyle normally stayed in the yurt. And for some reason, thank God, for some reason, my brother decided he was going to go to the cabin. Like, he wanted to be in the cabin. I don't remember the reason why, but there was a massive storm, and this massive tree, like, literally crumbled into the yurt.
Oh, my goodness.
Like, right where he would have been sleeping.
Well,
So, like, the fact that I'm, like, in a yurt, I'm, like, thinking about, like, trees snapping. I'm, like, thinking about my brother, like, how close.
Yeah.
And how, like, catastrophic that would have been. Thank God he's fine. Like, but just the thought of,
Yeah.
You don't really think of that as creepy, like, per se. It's just, nature of the beast, nature of the storm. But, like, it's the sound. Mm-hmm. That the crackling sound gives me chills.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you might, it's like snapping the board. No. Yes, it's wood, but you're talking
like
big.
This repetitive crackling. Yeah. Like you hear it like break in half. Yeah.
And then you hear it hit the ground.
Yeah.
And you feel it hit the ground. But these are big trees. These aren't like Arizona trees. Like, no, this is like big trees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. While I was up there, I never heard a tree fall. But I've had a tree in my yard fall, and I have a really large 70-year-old tree back here. And last year, it got struck by lightning, and that crackle sound that it made, the one that you're describing, it is scary. And like it shakes the ground that you're close to, which makes it even scarier. So I can just imagine one of those big trees crackling. That sound,
It was.
That must be really scary.
It was very unearthing. Like, it was like unearthing. That's funny. No, it was nerve-wracking because, I know the tree you're talking about. And the tree that we saw go down was probably like 6 times the size of that tree. Mm-hmm. Like, and it was clear, like, it was, I can't even imitate the sound because it was just like this low, grumbly, vibrating, crunching sound. And it like shook. Mm-hmm. Like, and then you start getting like
your hair stands up.
Your hair stands up in the back of your neck. Like, it's like very cracky too, but it's like really loud cracks. And you're like, it's like the tree was setting off firecrackers. Yeah. But like more of like a cracky noise. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no. On the topic of being outdoors and creeping hunters and like, again, storms.
Yeah, still storms are a very creepy thing to encounter when you're out there, you know. Like I said, that's usually when weird things start to happen, things go wrong, technology fails, the car doesn't start, your tent is ruined by the rain, or a tree falls in your camp, you know. That in itself, nature of being out in the wilderness can be very scary alone. Some of the scary things I encountered, and this is something that, you know, I think everyone should do, is especially when you go somewhere alone, whether it's to, you know, walk around the track somewhere, go for a hike, you should always tell someone, at least one person, where you're going and about what time they can expect you. Because there's a few times where, you know, at work, we were kind of slow, and they're like, oh, Steph, you can leave early if you want. So I take off and I'd go drive down to the beach, and then I'd wander up into the forest. And I remember one time I was hiking alone, and I didn't tell anybody because, one, I had just gotten off of work. I was like, oh, I'm just going to go really quick. And the creepiest thing is, on this trail was a guy just sitting in the middle of the trail. And he was like humming. And at first I was like, well, maybe he has headphones in. You know, people go out into the wilderness to meditate, get one with nature, clear their mind. But he was like right in the walking trail. And it was one of those things where, you know, gut instinct, like, should I turn back around? Should I jog past him? Like, what do I do? So I kind of veered off a little bit to make a huge, to stay on the trail for one, but kind of get out of his way. And sure enough, within minutes, I hear like rustling, and I'm like, oh my gosh, hopefully he got up and went the other way. So I look behind me. Sure enough, he's behind me.
Oh my God.
And he's just walking. He's like, how you doing? You know, what are you up to? Asking me all these questions, really antsy. You know, I was like, maybe he came out here to drop acid or something. But right away, it was like, you should have listened to those instincts. You should have probably turned around, went a different way. But he kind of followed off and on. And eventually, he kind of just stopped talking because I wasn't encouraging it. And I walked a little bit, and I didn't see him for a while, and I was so afraid to come back that trail. I took the longest way possible back to my car. What should have been like a 30-minute little hike was like an hour and 30, 40 minutes.
That's terrifying.
It was terrifying. So sometimes, you know, these types of trips, I know, you know, Arizona, Washington, wherever you live has somewhere beautiful that you want to go hiking or just get in touch with, but not only can you deal with like weather and things like that, people are scary. People are almost as scary as encountering wildlife, you know?
I was going to say,
wildlife, you can kind of scare them off sometimes.
I have to say this. What you just described sounds like a perfect like horror movie like scene.
Right.
Walking up this woody hiking trail. Mm-hmm. I like how the lights flickered as I'm talking about
I know.
Just so you guys know that our lights in the bedroom just flickered as I said that. Anyways, and I'm getting chills.
Yeah, I had a huge ass hunting knife in my boot, and then I had a pocket knife, and I wasn't afraid to kind of flash that I have something.
Yeah, I don't blame you. But I mean, that's like a scene, you know, I could picture this in like, you know, a woodsy area. You're walking on a trail, and there's just this guy in the middle, like, you're in a trail, like, you know, you think you're by yourself or like, you know, just normal people hiking. And there's this guy just sitting in the middle of the freaking walkway humming.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And you know what's funny? This trail that I would take, there was different ones. There's the yellow trail, blue trail, red trail. I forgot what trail I was on, but you know, you're running or you're walking through the forest, and you'll see other people, and you're like, hello, you know, you casually wave, you say hi.
There's like the normal.
But this was the first time someone was just sitting there. And like I said, I come up, like his back was facing me, and I was just kind of like, why is it, like, usually when someone's hurt or they're tying their shoe or resting, because sometimes you can get winded, they sit on the side. He was smack in the middle. And like I said, instinct. I as soon as I heard that rustling, I was like, please be going the opposite way. Please be going the opposite way. And I kind of just turn over my shoulder a little, and I see him kind of jogging towards me. And I'm like, oh my God, what? Why did you do this?
Should have turned around.
I know.
But then again, he probably would have heard you, like, turning around. Mm-hmm. God, that's creepy. Oh.
It was creepy. And of course, I went back home, and my roommate was home and was like, hey, like, you said you're getting out of work early. What you do? And, you know, I made the mistake of saying what happened on the trail. And boy, did I get lectured.
Yeah. You got lectured.
I got lectured. Like, you need to say where you're going, tell people when you get there, and what time to expect you back. Because if you don't have anyone knowing where you are or when to expect you back,
that's bad news.
That's how people are not reported missing for days. Because, I think my roommate would have been like, hey, she didn't come home, what's wrong? But, you know, it is a good idea. It is a good rule of thumb. Let people know that way. If they don't hear from you at a specific time, they know, like, I need to send help, or I need to go look for that person.
Right. That way you have like a contingency plan.
Yeah.
Tell us what you would have done in that situation. Would you have turned around and, you know, went back to your car and said this trail's done with? Or would you have been like Stef here and like just fucking went for it? Trying to go around the guy. Tell us what you would have done. Not my
smartest moment, you guys.
Brave. I will give her that. She was brave. Determined.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Us, you know, scary folk people might go, okay, what was this guy up to? Mm-hmm. What was his real intentions?
And you know what's funny? As many murder mysteries and stuff I watch, you think I would have, but I don't know. It was a common trail, and when I was in Washington, I didn't really experience many creepy people. The vibe was a little bit different.
Did you visit Seattle?
I actually loved Seattle.
Seattle's awesome.
Yeah.
I remember one time, just offbeat topic here, just for a little humor. First time I was ever in Seattle, ever. I don't remember where we were walking. There was a guy in like a tuxedo shirt with a unicorn horse mask playing bucket drums.
Sounds like someone I'd go to prom with. Sorry to all my former prom dates if you're listening.
I took a picture of that.
But that is something you would have done.
That's something I would have done, yeah. I would. I'm like, yeah, I'll put a horse sled on, beat on some buckets. Fuck it. He looks like he was making some good tips, so it must have been working.
Yeah, I actually really liked Washington, Seattle. The place that I wasn't too crazy about, honestly, was Portland. Not to hate on anyone that's from Portland. I think it's a beautiful place. I did enjoy myself there, but I got chased by a bunch of homeless people. And just when I thought I had ditched them, another group of homeless people came after me. And I was like, what the heck is with the city? But like I said, it was just...
That's scary.
It must have been something about that day. And you know what's so funny? It was like December. It was like the first week of December.
You having flashbacks right now?
I am having flashbacks. You know, I had this nice little like coat, this nice little peak coat. I was dressed warm. It was pretty cold. I was excited, and I got chased. At first, when they were walking towards me fast, I was like, maybe they're going to run past me. But then I started running, and they followed. They were chasing us.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, before we wrap up season 3, as this is our season 3 finale.
Oh.
I know, right?
That's okay. We'll be back in a few weeks.
We're gonna be out for the holidays. We will hopefully be promptly returning back in January. So look forward to season 4's premiere. A lot of big things happening for the podcast. Lots of good changes. What?
Oh, what changes? Changes to be announced.
You know, adding a website.
Yeah, definitely. They're good changes, you guys.
We're actually working on a full-on studio for our podcast, so that idea is coming to tuition. The website's going to be awesome. It's going to be a really good central port. In case y'all didn't know this, Stef is an amazing writer, and we're going to put her writing skills to the test with her blogs, and, you know, she's going to share us a lot of good stuff with the channel, the webpage. We'll probably be adding a new host.
Yeah, and you guys always write to us. Share pictures, comments, anything on our Facebook, anything you want featured. You know, you might earn a spot on our show one day.
Yeah, and season 4, I think we're going to start bringing in phone calls.
Yeah.
Now
that things are settling down.
Yeah, and we not to fool anyone, but we're playing with new technology and we're still figuring that thing out, you know.
Yeah, I hope you guys have a good holiday. You have a happy new year. Stay away from COVID.
Yeah, stay away from COVID. Oh, fun fact, if you're in Tucson, curfew's at 10 o'clock.
Yes, get home, get in bed.
COVID comes out at night.
Snuggle with someone. Because it's out there.
It's coming to get you, this COVID. It comes out at night. Welcome to Tucson, where there's no nightlife. Just ghost and COVID at 10 o'clock. Go home. After 10, you're screwed.
All right, you guys. You have a good night and be safe.
All right, we'll see you all next season. Thank you all for your support and your continued listening and your feedback and, just the continued support. This channel's grown tremendously in this past year. And, we just want to say thank you and we'll see you next season.